I bought my dream home in secret. A neighbor warned, strangers are inside. I checked the cameras. It was my brother's family celebrating. That's when I dialed the police. My name is Madison Clark, I'm 29. And if you think you know how this ends, stay tuned. What happens when the keys you've worked your whole life for are stolen before you even touch the door? The camera feed flickered on my phone. Balloons, laughter, plates clinking. My brother's kids running across my polished hardwood floors. My sister-in-law holding a glass of wine, like she owned the place. And my brother, standing tall in the middle of it all, grinning, giving a toast as if this house was his kingdom. My kingdom. The house had been my silent obsession for years. The one with ivy curling over white stone. The one perched just outside the city, with the lake shimmering at sunset. I had worked double shifts, sold my car, lived off ramen for months just to scrape the down payment together. No one knew I closed the deal. Not even my parents. Especially not my brother. And yet, there they were, celebrating inside. As if my sacrifices, my secrecy, meant nothing. My chest tightened as the laughter on the feed grew louder. My neighbor hadn't exaggerated. They weren't just inside. They had invaded, settled, claimed. I pressed call, on the police line with shaking hands, my voice steady only out of fury. Yes, this is Madison Clark. I own a home on Lakeshore Drive. There are intruders inside. Do you know them? The dispatcher asked. I stared at my brother's smug face on the screen. Yes, I whispered. I know them too well. As I ended the call, one thought burned like wildfire. They thought I wouldn't find out. They thought I wouldn't fight. But this house had my name on it. And tonight the truth would too. The red and blue lights hit the driveway before I could even steady my breathing. From my car across the street, I watched as two officers approached the front door. Inside, through the glow of my phone's camera feed, I saw movement. My brother's wife rushing to hide the wine glasses, the kids shushed and pushed upstairs. Then my brother opened the door, wearing a smile I knew too well. The one he used when he thought charm could erase theft. Evening, officers, he said smoothly. Can I help you? They asked for proof of residence. He stuttered, feigning innocence. This is family property. We've been here for years. Family property? My jaw clenched. That's when I stepped out of the car, folder in hand. The deed, the mortgage documents, the closing papers, every signature, every dollar traced back to me. The cool night air bit at my skin as I walked up the driveway. My brother's smile vanished the second he saw me. This is my house, I said, my voice cutting through the night. Not yours. Not ours. Mine. The officers glanced between us. One took the folder, flipping through the certified documents. The other turned to my brother. Sir, unless you can show proof, you'll need to leave. For the first time, I saw fear flicker across his face. His hand tightened on the doorframe, knuckles white. My sister-in-law appeared behind him, her voice shrill. This is ridiculous. She's lying. But the paperwork was undeniable. The officer handed it back to me with a nod. Ma'am, you're the legal owner. Do you want them trespassed? My brother's eyes locked on mine, daring me to humiliate him in front of his family, the neighbors, the law. My chest ached, but my resolve hardened. Yes, I said. Trespass them. And just like that, the house that had been filled with their laughter fell silent, emptied under the weight of truth. But as their car pulled away, I knew this was only the beginning. Because thieves don't just surrender. They plot. And my brother had just lost his crown. By morning, the fallout had already begun. My parents called first, voices sharp and accusing. Madison, what did you do? Kicking your brother out like that? Making a scene in front of the neighbors. I almost laughed. What did I do? He broke into my house. He threw a party in a home he didn't buy, didn't earn, didn't even know about until last night. But reason never worked with them. To them, my brother was golden. I was disposable. Later, the text came, a barrage from my sister-in-law. You embarrassed us. The kids cried all night. You'll regret this. Every line was guilt dressed up as blame. But I didn't bend this time. I couldn't. Instead, I opened my laptop and logged into the home security system. Footage poured in. My brother toasting with wine, boasting about finally upgrading his life, the kids running wild through rooms I hadn't even furnished yet. Proof stacked on proof, every frame another nail in a story. That night, I drove to the house. The silence inside felt holy. My footsteps echoed on the polished wood. The walls smelled of fresh paint, untouched, unsullied. And yet, their presence lingered, like smoke after a fire. As I stood in the living room, I replayed one clip on my phone, my brother raising a glass. Here's to us. Finally moving up in the world. It wasn't just trespassing. It was claiming, pretending, erasing me. I sank onto the staircase, heart pounding with something colder than anger. Clarity. This wasn't about a house. This was about history repeating itself, the same story of them taking, me giving, and everyone pretending it was fair. But this time, I had proof. I had keys. I had walls that held my name, not his. And I swore, on every brick of that house, he would never steal from me again. Not my home. Not my future. Not my voice. The next week, my brother made his move. He showed up at my office, all polished charm and fake smiles, like he hadn't been escorted out of my house by police days earlier. "Madison," he said, leaning on the reception desk, "we need to talk. Privately." I led him into the conference room, papers clutched tight in my hands. He didn't wait to sit down before starting his speech. "You can't keep that place all to yourself," he said smoothly. "It's too big. Too expensive. Mom and Dad think it should be a family home. Somewhere we all share." I almost laughed. "Share? You mean the way you shared it by breaking in and celebrating like you owned it?" His eyes darkened. The mask slipped. "You've always been selfish. I've carried this family for years, and you—" I cut him off, tossing the folder onto the table. Inside were the deeds, the mortgage contracts, the police report. Carried this family? With what? My paychecks? My credit score? My sacrifice. He flinched at the police report, the ink still fresh from the officer's pen. His jaw tightened, but he tried to recover. "If you go public with this, it'll ruin us. Mom and Dad's reputation, mine, everyone's. You don't want that, do you?" For once, I didn't hesitate. I want the truth. And if the truth ruins you, that's on you, not me. He leaned closer, lowering his voice. "Think carefully, Madison. Families don't survive wars like this." I met his gaze without blinking. "Then maybe ours isn't meant to survive." Silence stretched between us, heavy and sharp. He gathered the papers, shoved them back across the table, and stormed out, slamming the door so hard the glass rattled. I sat there, chest heaving, realization sinking deeper than ever. This wasn't just about a house. This was about rewriting the roles they had forced on me since childhood. And for the first time, I was no longer the background character in my own story. I was the author. And my pen had just drawn the first real line. The whispers spread faster than wildfire. By Friday, my aunt called, her voice sharp with judgment. "Madison, how could you drag your own brother into police business? He told us you bought that house with his money. He says you're hiding it to cheat the family." I closed my eyes, pressing my fingers against my temples. Lies, spun so easily from his lips, swallowed whole by relatives desperate to keep him golden. "That house," I said evenly, "was bought with my savings, my overtime, my years of sacrifice. He didn't give a single dollar. And I can prove it." But proof never mattered to them. They wanted a story that kept him shining and me in shadow. That night, I opened the binder again. Inside, I added fresh evidence, screenshots of the mortgage drafts, wire transfers from my account, even the congratulatory email from my loan officer. Every page was another weapon, silent but sharp. I wasn't gathering these for family anymore. I was gathering them for the law. 2 days later, I filed for a restraining order. The officer at the desk raised his brows as he read my statement. "Your brother threw a party in your home before you even moved in?" "Yes," I said, steady. "And he's spreading lies to cover it up. I need this documented." Walking out of the precinct, the sunlight felt different. Not warmer, not softer, but stronger. Like it was cutting through the haze of years where my family's voices drowned out my own. That evening, my phone buzzed again. This time, a text from my brother. "If you don't drop this, you'll regret it." I stared at the screen, pulse calm. He thought threats would scare me. He thought fear would pull me back into silence. But fear was no longer my language. The truth was. And soon, his lies would collapse under the weight of it. Because this wasn't just a home. It was a line drawn in stone between the life he tried to steal and the life I was finally claiming as mine. The restraining order changed everything. For the first time, I slept through the night without waking to phantom footsteps or imagined knocks on the door. The house was mine, fully mine, and the silence that once felt heavy now wrapped around me like armor. But my brother didn't disappear. He shifted tactics. Posts appeared online, carefully curated photos of his family squeezed into their cramped rental, captions dripping with martyrdom. Some people hoard wealth while their own blood suffers. His friends, our cousins, even distant relatives lined up in the comments to praise his sacrifice and shame my supposed greed. I saved every screenshot. Lies were fragile, but evidence was eternal. At work, I pushed forward, longer hours, promotions on the horizon. Every dollar I earned reminded me that this house wasn't luck, it was labor. Meanwhile, texts trickled in from people who once doubted me. Quiet apologies. Hesitant questions. Doubt had begun to eat at his story. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the lake, I stood on my back porch, watching ripples glitter across the water. My neighbor strolled over, hands in his pockets. "You did the right thing," he said simply. "Most people would have folded under family pressure. But you drew a line." His words lingered long after he left. A line. Yes, that's what this house was. Not just walls and roof, but a declaration. I would no longer be erased, diminished, or stolen from. Later that night, another message buzzed in. This time from my father. "Your brother is hurting. Can't you just give him a share? For peace." I set the phone down, heart steady. Peace built on theft isn't peace. It's surrender. I looked around at the home I had carved out of sweat and sacrifice, and I knew. They could call me greedy. They could call me cold. They could call me anything they wanted. But they could never again call my brother the owner of what was mine. The deed had my name. And so did the future. The showdown came sooner than I expected. A knock rattled the front door one Saturday afternoon. Through the peephole, I saw them all, my parents, my brother, his wife. A united front, rehearsed faces, like they were walking into a boardroom negotiation. I opened the door, but didn't step aside. "What do you want?" Mom's voice was syrupy. "Madison, sweetheart, let's not make this ugly. We just want what's fair." Fair. The word twisted like a knife. Dad cleared his throat. "The families decided the house should be shared. Your brother's kids need space. You don't even have a family yet. It's selfish for you to keep it." My brother crossed his arms, smug. "Sign half over, and we'll drop everything. No lawyers. No drama." I laughed. Cold. Sharp. "You think this is a negotiation? You broke in. You lied. You smeared my name to anyone who'd listen. And now you show up here demanding a share?" My sister-in-law sneered. "If you don't, no one will stand by you. You'll be alone." I stepped forward, holding the doorframe like a shield. Then alone is exactly what I'll be. Because I'd rather live in truth by myself than drown in your lies surrounded by family. I pulled out my phone, already recording. Their faces shifted, realizing their ambush was being documented. My brother's smile cracked first, then Mom's mask slipped into panic. "This will go to the court," I said flatly. Every word, every demand, every threat. For a moment, no one spoke. The power shifted. The house wasn't their stage anymore. It was mine. Finally, Dad muttered, "Come on," and turned away. One by one, they followed, retreating down the driveway like shadows at sunrise. I closed the door, locked it, and leaned against the wood. My hands were trembling, but not from fear. From freedom. They had tried to storm my walls again. and I had sent them away with nothing but their own reflection. The house was quiet again, but this time, the silence didn't feel heavy. It felt earned. I walked through each room slowly, touching the walls, the door frames, the polished counters. Every surface whispered the same truth. I built this. I earned this. This belongs to me. The court papers arrived a week later. The restraining order was extended, and the footage I had recorded sealed their fate. Their ambush was documented, their threats undeniable. The judge's words were sharp. This property is solely and lawfully Madison Clark's. No loopholes. No family sharing. Just clarity. I sat on the porch that evening, watching the lake catch fire with the sunset. My phone buzzed. A new message from Dad. It was only 4 words. "We won't bother you." For once, I believed him. But the victory wasn't about forcing their silence. It was about finding my own. I lit a candle in the living room, placed it on the mantel, and let its glow dance across the walls. For years, I had been the daughter who gave, the sister who yielded, the one who bent until I nearly broke. Not anymore. This house wasn't just a dream home. It was my declaration. A line in stone that no one could cross again. The neighbors still wave when I pull into the driveway. Some whisper about the scandal. Others admire the courage. None of it matters. What matters is the key that rests heavy and certain in my palm, proof that no one, not even family, can steal what I fought to claim. I turned off the camera feed that night, not because I feared intruders, but because I finally felt safe. They had tried to turn my sanctuary into their playground, but I had written them out of my story. And in the stillness of my home, I finally felt what they could never give me: peace.